This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Capital Edition. It is day one of the 93rd Arkansas General Assembly. We will be bringing you a daily show Mondays through Thursday throughout the legislative session. And amidst all of the pomp and circumstance of the start of today's legislative session, there was a little bit of controversy in the air. Lawmakers met at noon at the Arkansas State Capitol amidst the backdrop of restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Nearly 20 legislators have fallen prey already to the coronavirus. Representative Matthew Shepard, who will be our guest later today, was sworn into a second term as Speaker of the House. And Senator Jimmy Hickey was chosen officially to serve as Senate President Pro Tem. Shepard revealed his committee chairs, including some of these key ones: Revenue and Tax, Representative Joe Jett; Public Health, Representative Jack Ladyman; Judiciary, Representative Carol Dalby; Education, Representative Bruce Cozart; State Agencies, Representative Dwight Tosh; Insurance and Commerce, Representative Mark Lowry; Agriculture and Economic Development, Representative Deanne Vaught; and Transportation, Representative Mike Holcomb. Controversy was brewing early in the day as House Republicans contemplated not seating Democrat Representative-elect Ashley Hudson. Her race was disputed in terms of the outcome of the election against incumbent Republican Jim Sorvillo. After a GOP caucus meeting before the House convened, the idea seemed torpedoed and it never came up for a vote on the House floor. All 100 members were sworn in. In the Senate, Senator Stephanie Flowers, Democrat of Pine Bluff, sought for a mask enforcement policy for that chamber. No mask over your nose and mouth, no per diem, and no next meeting. After strongly opinionated debate, the motion failed on a voice vote. However, the Senate did accept a mask rule, just no penalties. Hey, just another day at the state capitol. When we come back, we will be joined by Speaker of the House, Representative Matthew Shepard of El Dorado, and we'll also be joined by political columnist John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Stay tuned. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Capital Advisors Group and...
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if you're looking for something more, Walmart has you covered. We provide quality care, no appointment necessary. Whether you're looking for fresh, healthy groceries to fill your prescription, get a flu shot, or pick up your next pair of glasses, we're standing by with in-store health professionals available across the country to offer patient-first, affordable care whenever you need it. Apples, optional.
Joining me now is Speaker of the House, Matthew Shepard. He is serving his second regular session term here. Speaker Shepard, thank you for being with us. Appreciate you, and congratulations on getting everybody in for the 93rd General Assembly.
Well, thank you, Roby, and it's always a pleasure to visit with you.
Let's talk about, you named your committee chairs today. That's one of the big things that happens on the first day of a session down in the House. You went with a bunch of veterans, particularly in some committees where there's going to be, let's just say, a few controversies. So tell me about the new chairs that you picked, though. You had some folks that retired or didn't run again. Tell me why you went with a couple of the new folks that you did.
Well, on the standing committees, of course, Representative Deanne Vaught will be the chair of Ag. And, I felt like that Deanne had, with her background and her experience and the fact that she's somebody I have a high level of trust and faith in, I thought she was the right person to go into that slot. And, let me just say, we've got a lot of really talented members. I mean, it's very difficult when you make these selections because there are so many capable members and so many things that are interchangeable. I think that one of the things I would mention that it may not be readily apparent, but I think is important to kind of factor in is with the extension of term limits from 6 years to 16 years, you're seeing, we're in the midst of kind of that transition period. And so at the end of the day, there were a number of chairs where, my feeling was we had a great session last time. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And of course, there were a few people that were moved around, and we brought some additional individuals, particularly into some vice chairmanships. So I think overall I think we've got a really good group there, and there's going to be other appointments that will be made just in terms of select committees. We put out the list of the select committee appointments, and then as we move into ALC and budget, there's going to be additional subcommittees, and of course the subcommittees and standing committees. So I'm trying to maximize and utilize as many people as possible. That's been one of my goals, in trying to broaden that experience, and that's what I think you'll see as we move forward with those appointments.
Tell me what you hope will move quickly in terms of agenda items. There are some pre-filed bills. There's some things that you can get to rather quickly because they're already out there. There's been some member discussion already, whether it's your agenda, the House's agenda, or the governor's agenda. What do you anticipate moving quickly in this session?
I think that still remains to be seen. This week, so much of the focus is on adopting. Of course, we'll adopt our normal House rules, but then we also have some special rules related to committee process during the COVID outbreak, and additionally some temporary rules for operation on the House floor during the COVID outbreak. And so, really, now that we're past the first day, that's where my focus turns, is to make sure we get those rules in place and that the membership is comfortable with those rules, because that's going to set the table for what we do going forward. And as I've said, all along, the first goal is to have a safe, efficient, and effective session. And so those rules and working to ensure the member, staff, and public safety are, first priority. And hopefully we'll have those in place by the end of the week.
You will be on the House Judiciary Committee, where the Stand Your Ground bill will more than likely be routed, as well as hate crimes legislation, I would predict. Where are you on those two bills? Do you support what has already been filed on those, or are you amenable to something to get you to support those, or are you adamantly against them no matter what?
Well, where I'm at is basically with regard to the hate crimes legislation. I've said I'm open to that discussion. I think there's a bill that's been filed on the Senate end. There may be one. I think I saw one earlier on the House end. With everything in preparation for the session, I haven't had a chance to study those over the last couple of weeks. As I've said previously, I'm not on board with that Senate bill at this point. I'm open to that discussion. There's a lot of different viewpoints on that piece of legislation, from those that are adamantly against it to those that support the bill as is. And then there's a lot of different viewpoints in the middle, from individuals that just want to understand more about it, and those that may have additional ideas on what that legislation should look like. And so I feel like my job as Speaker is to try and work through that, listen to people, help to see where if there's consensus that can be developed. And I think that that's a particular issue that, unlike some issues that maybe can get resolved in the interim, I think this particularly in this environment, with all the challenges of COVID that we've had in the interim, I feel like now that we're in session, that's going to provide the opportunity to really have those discussions. On Stand Your Ground, I've reviewed that legislation. It looks, to me, that I'm understanding that some that have been opposed to it previously are now neutral. And so, I'm open to that legislation coming forward. As with anything else, I always will listen for feedback and hear questions or concerns. But at this point, I think that there's probably a good chance that it's something that will move forward.
You dodged a little bit of a bullet today, in that there was some pre-session as early as Monday morning, some conversations among the House GOP caucus to not seat Democrat Ashley Hudson. That did not come up as an issue today. I guess a twofold question. One, did you lead the way in making that happen the way that it played out, number one? And number two, do you think there's any kind of rift between House Democrats and House Republicans because of that controversy?
Well, I would say on the first question, I wouldn't say that I was leading the way with regard to that particular issue or how to vote. I mean, I've studied that issue as Speaker of the House. I've really dug into that issue, particularly over the last week since the Claims Commission hearing, watched the hearing, looked at documentation, looked at the recommendation. And so I've really studied that. At the end of the day, for me, I just felt like there were a number of questions there. The fact that it had been certified, the lawsuits had been dropped, it had moved forward to the point of the Claims Commission, and the Claims Commission had reviewed it and had not found that it was sufficient to warrant not seating her. And I just feel like when I looked at all those things, I just didn't think it got to that point. Now, that being said, as members asked me, and I've expressed where I was after spending a week looking at it, but also felt like the membership, they have the opportunity to consider for themselves. And, I think ultimately we've had a good first day. What the thing for me is that it appears unquestionably there were problems in Pulaski County with regard to the conduct of the elections, whether it was in this race or other races. And I think that election reform is something you're going to be hearing a lot about this session, something I'm very interested in, and that I'm looking at some different options available for us to be proactive as we move forward. And now with us getting beyond the first day, I think we have an opportunity to really dig into those issues, and hopefully can do some things to ensure that no, regardless of what side of the aisle, but that no candidate finds themselves in a situation with a race that's that has these types of questions surrounding it.
Keep an eye on the state agencies committees. I think that's where all election law goes. So
we'll see.
He is Speaker of the House, Matthew Shepard. Thank you for spending time with us, Mr. Speaker, and we look forward to having you back sometime as the session wears on. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Roby.
We're back with more right after this. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Impact Management Group and
we have a large commitment to our solar for good reason. It lowers customers' rates. It's emissions free.
Entergy Arkansas is the largest provider of solar in the state of Arkansas.
Utility scale solar is much more economic for customers. We're going to operate it, we're going to maintain it, we're going to focus on it. That's what we do for a living.
We want to continue to find ways to partner with our customers to meet their renewable energy goals.
Customers want this, we want to provide it. So our commitment is for the long term.
As a lifelong Arkansan, getting outside has always been a passion of mine. I encourage you to get out too and take advantage of what few other states have to offer.
With numerous lakes and rivers to fish and an abundance of hunting lands, our state is made for outdoor enthusiasts. When you purchase a hunting and fishing license, you support conservation in every corner of the state, preserving our natural wonders for generations to come. So get your license today.
And get out and see why Arkansas is the natural state.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now is John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. John Brummett, always good to see you at the beginning of a week, and welcome to our first legislative daily show here.
Is this a new entity, a new program? It's got new graphics, new background. Looks good. Yeah,
really, but we still got the core of what makes it great, which is having you offer commentary on a regular basis.
I don't actually, my ego doesn't actually require that, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Start of the 93rd General Assembly today. We saw some appointments from the Speaker of the House. We saw everybody installed. There was some potential controversy that we thought was going to erupt that did not erupt there. Let's begin with that controversy of seating Democratic Representative Ashley Hudson. There was a lot of chatter among Republicans to not do that. And in the end, there was no motion made. So crisis averted, I suppose. What would it have been like if we'd had a day one questioning of seating a House member like this? It would have been pretty unprecedented, wouldn't it?
It would have been unprecedented. It would have been quite horrid, quite horrible. I mean, merit aside, they nearly got in a fist fight in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives over this very kind of thing, disputed certified election returns and seating of a Democrat. And they have enough Democrats up there in Pennsylvania to put up your dukes. They don't have enough in Arkansas to put up their dukes if they were to have fisticuffs. Then, of course, if you want to talk about, which I don't, Republicans challenging certified election returns, we could invoke last week's insurrection in the U.S. Capitol. And did we really want to have a very small microcosmic excuse for that in Arkansas? Not to overstate, but did they want to go there at all? In the end, I think not. This election, it's unfortunate. Ashley Hudson won by what, 24 votes?
Right.
There are 27 votes they meant to throw out. They put into the count, but her opponent Servillo went to court, lost. Went to the Claims Commission, lost. Had an opportunity to produce proof that the 27 votes would affect the outcome. Was unable or unwilling to try or unwilling to do so. So it's imperfect, it's unfortunate, but there's a Republican House member or incumbent who got reelected by fewer votes by similar circumstances. So it's all is well that ends well. And a routine seating of the entire delegation was just what the doctor ordered.
All right, let's talk about down in the Senate end. We had a little bit of a controversy over wearing masks down there. Senator Stephanie Flowers, Senator Trent Garner, Senator Alan Clark, all known to spar from time to time.
They have gotten into it, yes.
Already on day one. What does that say about where we're going in this session?
Well, if you told me I could only cover one committee of the legislature this session, that would be the Senate Judiciary Committee, because that's where the incomparable Senator Stephanie Flowers, who can express her passion and anger from a left of center persuasion beautifully, can hold court, but now she's in an extreme minority because Trent Garner and Bob Ballinger and Clark, they've got 5 votes on there, and that's where the hate crimes thing goes. That's where stand your ground goes. So they're going to tangle. This is all going to, and they're all quite mercurial in their style. I didn't think it would start the first day, but it did. Flowers wanted a rule that you got to wear your mask everywhere, including in the Senate quiet room, which is where they all go to be important and to be comfortable. And she wanted to take a day of per diem off of what you collected in terms of taxpayer money, and that was described as too harsh. I understand how all this happened. I don't want to make too much of it. I just want to say, if you cannot, you got to laugh to keep from crying. And on this one, for a senator to sacrifice a day of per diem was said to be too harsh a penalty for his insisting on breathing a potential deathly virus on his colleagues. That's sort of what, I think that's what extreme conservatism is right there in a nutshell. We've seen entirely too much of it in the last few days. Even so, came to nothing. Mask wearing will be generally required. And if a couple of these extreme right-wing senators want to not wear one, they can still keep their per diem. And again, all is well.
Yeah, the Senate did pass a mask requirement. They just did not make any penalties attached to it there.
Right.
So let's shift to Washington, D.C. We had a tumultuous week last week with the mob that rioted at the U.S. Capitol. Now we have impeachment articles filed as of today in the House of Representatives, not only for against the president for inciting this mob, but also for his role in that released phone call to the Secretary of State of Georgia. Where do you think all this goes?
I believe, well, I don't know to start. To first answer, I don't know. I believe the article of impeachment will be passed in the House maybe with not many Republicans or any Wednesday. I think either Pelosi will hold it because McConnell will have already said he's not going to move it. There's not time, or the Senate and McConnell will move it. And the issue will be whether the new Senate takes it up after he's gone, which will be a matter of high curiosity and controversy. After Trump has left office routinely, why would you then push to impeach him? Well, to make a statement that leading an insurrection against the country and our democratic institutions is not acceptable, and also to keep him, from running again. or being that kind of threat. So we'll see. That's the unknown. I think the impeachment's going to happen. Senate's not going to deal with it, I don't think, right away. What happens? And does Joe Biden, poor Joe, is he going to be the president who's trying to advance an agenda and try to reform the way we deal with COVID and whatever else he needs to do at the start, while that's going on in the Senate? All very odd. But this is an extraordinary time, and it is my position. You didn't ask my position, but he has to be impeached, and he ought to be removed. This is prima facie evidence of fomenting insurrection that we saw on live television. That's all you need. You don't need a whole lot of testimony. Just look at what happened. And the President of the United States encouraged, aided, and abetted, fomented that. So it is already an extraordinary circumstance, and we'll see some extraordinary processes as this goes along.
All right. He is John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. You can read him 4 times a week online, and you can see him twice a week during the session with us. Thank you, John. I appreciate you.
Oh, really? I'm going to do another one this week. Is that right?
Yes, you are.
Well, just let me know. Okay, thanks. Good to be with you.
All right. And that is all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Thank you for watching. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.